So now that we have a way to actually get the user, we need to kind of populate these fields with that user information now when we are loading our application right here. And we're not doing that right now, so let's try and figure that out. But notice right here, LBuilder is actually automatically populated now. So since I just changed the function, since this is already hooked up to the actual user, it just popped up with my username right here. So something is working. Let's try and now populate the rest of the fields with this information right here. So jumping back to my dear Firebase, my code right here for Firebase, let's just try and scroll into our profile TS file. Because right now we are actually getting the user. We're also setting the user locally right here. So we have the user, but we're not putting the information into the profile form. Let's just try and do that. So what we'll do is we'll just add another line right here and we'll just add a few curly brackets. We still want to save the user locally. That will still make sense in my mind. So I'll just add that right here. We still want to save him here. And then we kind of want to, when we have created the user and we have him locally, we also want to populate the information inside the profile form. Now this is so easy that it's almost worth singing a small song. I might do that, but it's just calling the small patch value right here and just sending in the user to that patch value. And then it'll actually populate the form if the fields match the name inside the form, which my user does. He has a first name, username, middle name, and a last name, so it'll just patch it up. Sweet, let's see if it works. There we go. It's all patched up. So that was the song. So now we kind of have this patched up, and that means that now I can just start changing these things around and saving stuff, and it'll automatically just update it. And let's just try and change this and save it. It'll automatically update, but notice it did not update the guy up here. Not quite what I wanted. Let's just try again. It did not update the guy up there. So let's just try and have a look. Now I want to show you guys this because that's actually because we went in here and we kind of changed the way that we're hooking up right now. The user is not, it's subscribing to the user, but we're only listening once. So let's just try and remove the first keyword in the service here again, just to kind of show you guys this, because if we want to have live update, we might be able to do it anyway. I'm just removing the first keyword here just to kind of give a point. Let's just jump back and have a look. Whoop, we have the value still. And when I change the name here now to 1 and save it, I have live update. Okay, so now you can see the power of this connection right here. You just need to understand that's what you're doing, right? So it's very important that we know now, since we know that this is working, so when I change this, I got live update, then I also need to stop listening when I'm leaving this component. But how do we now shut down so we don't keep listening here when I switch away from the profile and back to the profile? I'm hooking up a new connection. So now I might have 2 connections open. So how do we kind of shut down a connection so we don't keep listening whenever we're switching? I don't want to end up having memory leaks because now I have 10 connections listening. So let's just start out by checking out if we're actually listening. How can we do that? Well, we can pretty much just go in and say inside the profile TS file, let's just say that whenever we actually subscribing right here, let's do a console log and just see if we're actually listening once or we keep listening for the changes. So I'll just console log the user right here. There we go. Now whenever this is changing, I'll see a small console log down here. Notice now there's 1 user. I'll just clean this up and I'll just go forward and back. It's still only showing once. Let's try and just remove the 2 right here and do a save. Now I'm getting back 2 events. Okay, let's just move away and go back and put in another here and do a save. Now I'm getting 3 events. Now this is the real problem, right? I keep getting more and more events. So at some point, I'll get so many events here that I'll just crash. So we have to stop listening every time I leave the profile and come back to the profile. I need to stop listening and start listening again. So we need to fix that. Let's try and jump into the code. Now luckily we have something called onInit, but we also have something called onDestroy. Sweet. Now to use the onDestroy, we just like we have an ng onInit, we're going to right here make an ng onDestroy. Now this is crucial that you guys start thinking this way. It's crucial that you remember to save and unsubscribe for these observables, or else you'll just start having crazy leaks in your system. So what I'm going to do is, since I want to actually keep listening until I leave the component, I'm going to save kind of a link, or I'm going to save a subscription so that I know that right now I'm listening. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a subscription right here, the user subscription. Let's call it user sub. And that's just going to be a subscription right here. Now this is something from observables. And I'm going to say when I start listening right here on init, I want to save the information that I'm listening right now inside this user sub. Right? That pretty much means that when I'm done listening, I can go down here and say user sub, please unsubscribe, stop listening. So here we subscribe and we start listening, but when we're destroying the component, I want to unsubscribe and stop listening right here. I think that was all we had to do. Now let's jump back and have a look at our console log again. Inside the profile page, right now I'm listening. I'll save this and notice I'm getting back one event every time, right? So when I jump away now and I jump back, and let's just try and see if we're still getting only one event. Let me just clean this, trying to save. I'm only getting one event. Woohoo! A movie. We did it. We solved it. Perfect. But that's so crucial that you guys remember this. You cannot unsubscribe. If you do not unsubscribe on destroy and you do not consider your observables, you'll end up having huge issues because of leaks, where memory will start dying because we want to do 500 requests every time because we jump between pages. So the longer your application lives, the more requests you'll start doing. So remember to unsubscribe, very important. See you in the next lesson where we'll have even more fun.